Hello, friends. Welcome to my car on this sunny, unbelievably beautiful second day of November. Happy to be with you just before 11 o'clock. Yeah, it's 13 degrees. It's a big ball of sunshine behind me in my Ash Gregoire Chambly Nissan car. By the way, a shout out to day one sponsor, Chambly Nissan, 4299 Autoroute 440 West in Laval for the third year in a row. They are Quebec's #1 rated Nissan dealership. And guess what? They have their winter tire special, their winter tire extravaganza. It's going on right now at Ash Gregoire Chambly Nissan. So the winter tire law in the province of Quebec, it's not December 15th. It is December 1st, right through the 15th of March, inclusively, to have your winter tires on in La Belle Province. And here's what I want you to do. If you're driving on tires that need to be changed, I want you to go price and shop for new winter tires for your car. And then I want you to take that quote and bring it to Ash Gregoire Chambly Nissan and tell them, say, this is the car I drive, 4 brand new winter tires. This is what the competition is charging me. Not only will Ash Gregoire match their price, they will also install those tires on your car for free. This is a day one sponsor within the Car with Star, Mike Joya, and the award-winning staff, Quebec's #1 rated Nissan dealership. It's Ash Gregoire Chambly Nissan. Their winter tire special is on. So I wanted to get that out there nice and early for you. I'm in the business of saving you money as much as I'm trying to save my own money. I want you to be in or not. And we are back. I think we cut out. I'm not exactly sure, but I think we're back. The Montreal Canadiens 4-1 losers in Minnesota last night. Nick Suzuki scores on the power. Not getting incrementally better. I think so. I like the gambling. I like the 5 forwards on the man advantage. And once again, my friends, Chris Lee and the Montreal Screwjob is a real thing. It is a real thing. Thank you, Chris Lee. I'm sure you guys have heard about this by now. If not, let me tell you what's going on. There's a super sharp hockey fan. I don't know specifically if they're a Canadiens fan, but what did they do on Reddit, on Habs Reddit? They posted this Chris Lee stat. From 1999 to 2020, Chris Lee has officiated about 25,000 or so games. The Montreal Canadiens get a 13% bump in shorthanded situations in games that are officiated by Chris Lee, and their win percentage goes down by almost 8% in games that are officiated by Chris Lee. You tell me, how large of a sample size do you need to work from in order to get out of the conspiracy theory and into the factoid part of the Montreal Canadiens in games that are officiated by Chris Lee? And let's not get it dramatic, overly dramatic here. The Canadiens didn't lose 4-1 in Minnesota because Chris Lee was in charge. No, but did it help that the Canadiens lost a game that Chris Lee officiated? Probably not. Look at the splits. Look at the stats. Again, I mean, we're talking about a sample size that is 21 years long. That, my friends, is good enough for me to tell me that Chris Lee is bad at his job and Chris Lee hates the Montreal Canadiens. No conspiracy theory here. The only conspiracy I have about why I think Chris Lee hates the Montreal Canadiens, you know why? Because he probably got dumped by a Quebecoise. Probably had this love affair with a lovely Quebecoise girl. Maybe she didn't reciprocate. Maybe she wanted nothing to do with Chris Lee. It's totally possible. Not a very attractive guy. Maybe that's too personal. I don't know. But I believe the Montreal Screwjob is a real thing, and Chris Lee is in charge. And look, the Montreal Canadiens lose 4-1. Happy to see Nick Suzuki score a goal. 11 points now and 5 goals and 6 assists. Cole Caulfield had 5 shots in the first period, finished with 8 for the game. Didn't score a goal, mind you, but that's fine. As I keep telling you, these are the things I want to see. I want to see Cole Caulfield be the team leader in shots. I want Cole Caulfield to pepper Marc-Andre Fleury or whoever the next goaltender is that he's going to face. I want him with a barrage of shots. I want Cole Caulfield to be a shoot-first guy. I want to see him and Nick Suzuki explode and find chemistry, and the Canadiens to have like the most potent first line I've ever seen them have in my lifetime. And I've been watching this team for 40 odd years now. So yes, these are all the things I kind of want to see, but I'm not going to say I'm going to get worried, but I'm starting to wonder about, and if you recall, and I hate being the I told you so guy, but I remember kind of just before training camp got going, and You and I were having these conversations together in my car, right? We're talking about the Canadiens and what they may or may not look like. And I'm wondering about sports history is littered with I told you so's. The history of sports, individual or team competition, is littered with tell me I can't do something. A lot of these athletes reach these monumental heights in their athletic careers based solely on the fact that people in their lives have counted them out or never believed in them. So there was this kind of small element in my mind that you keep telling the Montreal Canadiens that they're not going to be competitive. You keep telling Brendan Gallagher and Nick Suzuki and Cole Caulfield that they're talentless and their talent isn't good enough for them to win a bunch of hockey games. These athletes thrive in these situations. And I'm not at the point yet where I think this team is going to dramatically overachieve and contend for a playoff spot. No. But what I'm going to tell you is what I don't want to happen and what cannot happen. It's, who cares what I want ultimately? What can happen to this team is for them to kind of hover around 500 and ultimately end the year right around that 75-point threshold, that 80-point threshold. What is that going to get them? The question we have then, if that hypothetical turns into reality, is what are we doing? What are we doing? And while, yes, I'm not wired to cheer for losing, I am of the mindset that when I look at teams in the National Hockey League that contend annually for titles, teams that win championships, how do I get that roster on this team? How do we do it? How do you get that? How do you get close to looking like how Colorado is built? How do you get close to how the Tampa Bay Lightning are built, right? How do you get to where the Pittsburgh Penguins or the Chicago Blackhawks, right? Let's look at teams that have won titles, teams that we look at and are envious of and say, shit, how do we get to that level? How do we achieve that? Like, look at the Boston Bruins as an example, right? The Bruins for the last 2 or 3 seasons, I've been waiting for them to be terrible. Guess what? They were down 5-2 in the second period to the mighty Pittsburgh Penguins, down 5-3 after 40 minutes, and they won the game. We're talking about right now, the best team in hockey are the Boston Bruins. They don't even have Charlie McAvoy. Brad Marchand came back a month early. So this is the mindset I have. I like the Canadiens game last night. I like Nick Suzuki scoring. I like the fact that he has 11 points. He's a point-a-game guy. I like Cole Caulfield and his 7 goals. These are fun build-around moments in a season. But I'm worried that they're going to win a lot of hockey games, more than I thought. And while Martin St. Louis doesn't give a shit about tanking, I believe that in my heart. I believe that Martin St. Louis goes into every game wanting to win and win going away. Like they talk about the pack mentality. I'm going to talk about that in a minute. I'm going to talk about Marco Rossi putting the boom on Juraj Slafkovsky and what happened after that and why that arguably might have been the best thing in the game last night. But Martin St. Louis and his team, they have a job, and their job is to be ready, prime the pump, and maximize output every single time Martin St. Louis and his team take to the ice. And that's their job, and that's their little tunnel that they're in all the time, and that's great. Like Ken Hughes and Jeff Gordon, they're doing their job, and that's roster construction. That's forecasting towards the future. Martin St. Louis and his players and his troops, their objective is to go to Winnipeg tomorrow and beat the Jets. That's it. So I'd be fascinated to know, what Ken Hughes thinks about his team today, what he thinks about them next month, what the forecast is today, and are they looking at this team saying, yeah, way to go, boys, way to rally around the coach, way to rally around your star players, and let's see how far this season can take us. I don't want that. I don't want that. Brian Wild guested on the TSN 690 morning show on Monday. You can find it online at tsn690.ca. And he talked about the top 8 this summer in the NHL entry draft. That, my friends, is the ultimate goal. Go listen to the podcast, and Brian, delves into it a little bit deeper, talks about some of the prospects that are coming, who might hit, who the Canadiens have on deck that are delivering primetime performances at college level or with their respective junior teams. The Montreal Canadiens have to draft in the top 8 this summer, next summer, 2023. They have to. So we're in this point where the Canadiens are getting out of world goaltending. Sam Montembeault's kicking aside 43 shots. Jake Allen playing strong, being very philosophical after games. I don't think it's sustainable. the Canadians are getting top 5 goaltending in hockey and have been since their season opening win over Toronto. I am a believer that you ultimately finish as the player that you are today. That's what I believe. Like, I play a lot of golf, and I see a lot of guys that come in. Yeah, the guys that know, and I know their games, and I see guys that are 10 or 12 handicaps, and they're one over or even par after their moment in the sun. Don't get me wrong. But ultimately, the law of averages prevails here. Will even inspired hockey. They're getting great goaltending, and the Montreal Canadiens are getting prime time performances from their prime time players. These are all great things. But they're a 500 team today. They're 5-5. Their 4-game road trip before they come home Saturday to take on the always dangerous Vegas Golden Knights. So I still have trust, and I like the job everybody's doing, but Ken Hughes and Jeff Gordon, with all of their forwards, they got 15 guys. Some guys aren't playing. Ivanov doesn't seem good graces of the Canadiens organization. Mike Hoffman, Jonathan Drouin, like all an optimistic approach that the Montreal Canadiens ultimately will figure it out, and by figure it out, end up somewhere in the top 8 of next summer. Habs down 3-1, I think, at the point where Marco Rossi absolutely drops the boom on Juraj Slafkovsky, who was along the bench. It seemed like the door to the bench was open. I don't think he was expecting contact from Marco Rossi, who's not the biggest guy on the ice, but he threw every pound that he had into the body of Juraj Slafkovsky, who fell awkwardly into the boards. He was kind of off balance. Like I said, I don't know if Slafkovsky was expecting that level of hit from Marco Rossi in a game that was kind of over. But the strong takeaway from that game for me was the fact that Jake Evans immediately jumped into it. And Shaw of the Minnesota Wild absolutely pounded Jake Evans, just like Arbor Jackeye beat the crap out of Zach Cassian in that game earlier this season. And Jackeye tried to go after Rossi before the game ended, yada, yada, yada. But for me, this is why Martin St. Louis has this team playing above expectation. It's why I think you run into a lot of Canadian fans that are like, wow, this team is fun. This team is exciting. Like, I can't tell you how many people told me when the Canadians came out of the game, were winning at home, they were undefeated at home, and they beat the Leafs, blah, 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 blah. Sean, you're wrong. Sean, you're wrong. I told you this team's going to be good. I told you this team's going to be good. Then they lost a few games, and then those same people were like, oh, Sean, you know what? I think you were right when I was telling everybody, let's calm down. There's a lot of inspired hockey going on here. But you see why there's so much inspired hockey, and I love this. I absolutely love the fact that Jake Evans, without a second's thought, jumped right into it after his teammate, 18-year-old Juraj Slafkovsky, gets his bell rung. He got hit, and he got hit hard in an awkward spot on the ice. So, like, team togetherness, Martin St. Louis talks about pack mentality. That is the pure definition of winning culture in professional hockey. I will not move off that mountain. I firmly believe this. Hockey is still old school team concept. I got to know, man, to borrow a Marc Bergevin expression, I need to know you're my foxhole guy. And I don't want to see a shred of difference. Like, let's talk about last season as an example, right? In that lost year, how many times did you see liberties being taken at the expense of Montreal Canadian players, and guys like Jeff Petrie or others would just skate by? They wouldn't even look at the guy cross-eyed. They wouldn't even look at the opposing player who did their teammate dirty. They just moved to the bench, next shift, can't wait for this game to be over type thing, right? That's loser stuff. That's losing mentality. That is a loser organization going nowhere. And the Montreal Canadiens got the poison out. Oh, look, I don't want to pick on Jeff Petrie as being the poison, but there were a lot of problems, more than just Jeff Petrie on this team last season. So it was of vital importance that they see an 18-year-old kid take a big-time shot, and what's the pushback there? Love that stuff. It's a message to everybody else that when you play the Montreal Canadiens, it's not going to be easy. The team is fast. They can be nasty, and they're potent when Cole Caulfield and Nick Suzuki are out there on the ice. This is message-sending stuff. This is what Martin St. Louis wants, and I hope Ken Hughes is watching that too, because you see who's in it, who's in the fight, who's buying what we're trying to sell, and who wants to be a part of this. So I love that kind of stuff, and that's exactly what I want to see from a young team that's trying to rally around a young coach. He's trying to get these guys going, and all of this is working, right? Which brings us to All Points Bulletin, APB, Josh Anderson. What is going on with Josh Anderson? You know, you want to like this guy. You want this guy to be a part of the long-term plans of the competitive Montreal Canadiens. Josh Anderson threw a no-hitter last night. 13 minutes and change, not a lick, not even a second, not even half a second of power play time. Not even half a second of power play time for Josh Anderson, who was a -1, no goals, no assists. Where was he yesterday? Again, one of these big-bodied, super fast, super talented players. And, you know, when you look around and you see a guy like Sean Monahan, what about Brendan Gallagher's game last night? How good was Brendan Gallagher? That little give and go where you saw breakaway speed, separation speed from Brendan Gallagher as he went in on Marc-Andre Fleury, didn't score, but man, that was old school Gallagher. Gallagher was in it. You know, I want to see that on the regular from Josh Anderson, but, you know, you can't have it all. And that was one of those games where, you know, you're trying to build chemistry, you're trying to build consistency, you're trying to find something. You know, you got Kirby Dach playing center, and then you got him on the wing. You got Sean Monahan playing center, and then you move him to the wing. You're mixing and matching with Caulfield and Suzuki, who's their regular line mate on the #1 line for Martin St. Louis. You know, Josh Anderson not making life easy for himself, for his teammates, for his coach. So, you know, we had a great moment in the game last night, which for me was the fact that Jake Evans stood up and paid a very nasty price for his teammate, and also the bad side of this that Jonathan Drouin, Mike Hoffman, you know, Josh Anderson. This is the stuff we talk about that, you know, what is Ken Hughes looking at, and what's the takeaway as we go deeper into the NHL season? And look, you know, let's talk about this, where this team is at, what the record is at, you know, 20 games into an NHL season. We're getting closer to that, the infamous Bob McKenzie NHL quarter poll before you find out exactly who your team is. So interesting to see the state of affairs with the Montreal Canadiens, because they're kind of doing what we all wanted them to do, right? Like, be fun, be tough to beat, and play with a lot of energy and a lot of passion, and you're getting that. And on top of it, you're getting really strong performances from Nick Suzuki and Cole Caulfield. So, so far, a fun season, and it has this market energized. And those are all massive, massive positives. Now, you know, I hate to say it because I'm not wired to, but I need to see this team drop a few more smart. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for the comments. Chris Codner, you know, we started this with Chris Lee and the Montreal Screwjob. Once again, the data backs this up, right? Jump on Reddit, go on the Habs Reddit page, and you're going to see what has been the stat of the morning. From 1999 to 2020, 25 games, Montreal Canadiens get a bump of like 13% in penalty minutes and penalty power play opportunities for the other team in games that he has kind of officiated, while other teams basically are status quo, except for Montreal. I blame the lovely ladies for probably breaking Chris Lee's heart, and he has never forgotten it. And that's my conspiracy theory to explain what the hell is going on. Games. And that's it, my friends. Montreal's back in action on Thursday when they on the Winnipeg Jets, their fourth and final game on the road. It was interesting having some, as soon as the morning show signed off today on TSN 690, that Spotify, I have free Spotify. We have free Spotify. And so we were playing golf with some buddies the day, and we got I like music when I play golf. And I know it's not for everybody, so if you're going to play music while your buddies are playing golf and stuff, make sure everybody's on the same page. And let me tell you something. These guys were just absolutely shredding me. I had my ads running on my Spotify as we were playing golf and listening to tunes. So is that a party foul? Is that a major party foul you know, everyone's coming over, having some fun. You got the streaming music on, and ads start playing. Apparently, it's a massive party foul. Oh well, too bad, so sad. You want to pay for my Spotify? That's cool. Other than that, don't forget, you can support me by always supporting my sponsors like K-Stop Gas Bar and Depanneur, Highway 130 in Ganawagi. What's today? Quinoa bowls, freshly prepared meals, serving the community and serving you at K-Stop Gas Bar, Highway 138 in Ganawagi. Tell them In the Car with Star sent you. It's premium fuel at discount prices. And as I keep telling you, I wouldn't shop somewhere and I wouldn't tell you to shop at a place that I would never set foot in. K-Stop Gas Bar and Depanneur has the best snack selection. So for your Canadians and Jets game tomorrow, you want to load up. You want to load up for NFL Sunday or NFL Thursday with the Eagles and the Houston Texans going on. By the way, Miles Sanders over 100 yards on Thursday and an anytime touchdown score. Houston cannot stop the run, and the Eagles are just going to run all over the Houston Texans on Thursday. So there's a couple of free picks for you. And load up at K-Stop Gas Bar, Highway 138 in Ganawagi. Don't forget, you can see, let me put this on the screen right now, our lovely banner. Thank you, littlebearonline.com, promo code in the car 10. Chuck Altman and his unbelievable staff, they know your pet just as well as you do. They care about your pet as much as you do. They do. When Leon was still in our life, I was a regular at Little Bear on St. Catherine across the street from Alexis Neon. And you can shop online, deliver to your home in the car 10 at checkout, and save yourself with some dollars. And it was interesting. Like, I obviously, Leon was a huge part of my life, and I loved Leon, and I still love him, and I still talk to him every day. And it's almost, it's November 2nd. Leon, I still think about him, and I still miss him every day. It's incredible. But nevertheless, like a lot of y'all, you love your pets to the end of the earth, right? And so Leon was always a good boy. And so every time, we'd go out for a walk or he'd come back in from him making his pee-pee. I said, Leon, you want a snacky? Leon wants a snacky. And he was a little pause. He would do a little tap dance. He was always super excited. Like his daddy, he loved to eat. Shocker, right? And so sometimes I like to treat my dog. I always would tell people that if you believe in reincarnation, if you believe in such things, you want to come back as a dog that's owned by me, because the dog lives a better life than I do, and I think I live a great life. Leon lived a better life than I did. My dog wanted for nothing. He was spoiled 24/7, and I wouldn't change a thing. He deserved it. He was a good boy. And so like good boys get good boy things, and that's a lot of treats, right? So you always get cookies and whatever else, and so he got a little bit chubby, got a little chunky. And so I'd bring Leon in to see Chuck. He'd be like, oh my God, Sean, he's a little round around the rib cage. And he'd go like, what are you feeding him? And so I would tell him. And this is where, the locally owned, community-based shop local is so invaluable. Because when I first got my dog, I would go to these big box pet stores, right? And it would just be a guy or a girl behind the counter doing their job, punching a clock, working their hours, getting their money. I get it. Chuck Altman owns the store. His wife works there. Their staff, like, it's part of the community, And so he would give me all this advice, and he would actually break down the food and the nutritional value that was in the dog food or the snacks that was given to my dog. And he basically drew this parallel line that made so much sense to me. He would be like, Sean, every time that you would come in from outside and I would give you a Snickers bar, he goes, that's basically what you're doing. I'm like, light bulb, done. And so, he would give us treats that would encourage healthy eating habits for Leon, and then it would encourage other options like baby carrots or blueberries, pineapple, stuff like that. Doesn't always have to be cookies. So, that's a long way of saying support local, shop local. Let's keep doing that. And Little Bear Online is a proud sponsor of mine, and I love having them on board. I'm very passionate about animals, and they're just as passionate, if not more than I am. So that's why I think it's a perfect match. So I encourage you to support me by supporting my sponsors. And again, I wouldn't send you anywhere that I personally wouldn't go, especially when it comes to my dog's needs or my car's needs, like K-Stop Gas Bar Depanneur or littlebearonline.com, promo code in the car 10. Thank you so much. And of course, Ash Gregoire Showman and Nissan, as I told you, their winter tire special is ongoing. If you go to them with cheaper winter tires than what they have, they will match the price and do the installation for free. You see, I don't partner with Fugazi people, Fugazi companies. These are the creme de la creme, my friend. Support me, support my sponsors, and we're all saving money. We're all in this dogfight together, my friend. So thanks for watching. I did not get a ticket today. I did not get a ticket today, and yeah, people hate Chris Lee. Thanks, Steph. Sometimes they know just absolutely. Thank you for watching as always, my friends. And yeah, longtime listeners, I got a ticket a couple of weeks ago. I had parked in my driveway. Well, I shouldn't say in my driveway. I had parked blocking my driveway on my street, right? That's permit parking on my street. You have to have a little vignette there, as they say. So I was parked in front of my driveway, blocking my entrance. I wasn't taking up a spot, so to speak, right? And so you had one of those prima donna green onion losers roll up next to me. And he says, you're blocking, you're not allowed to park here. You don't have a vignette, And I said, I understand. I said, I'm just in front of my house. I'm just doing my podcast. I'll be done in like 2 minutes. He's like, you can't park here. And he goes, if I go around and I come back and you're still in this spot, I'm going to give you a ticket. And I looked at him and I said, I don't care what you do. And so what did he do? He slammed his car in reverse and goes behind my car, gets my license plate and writes me up and gave me a ticket, right? And it was $80. It was an $80 ticket. Yeah. So like, I'll tell you, I was blocking my driveway. I didn't know that I still had to have a vignette, a permit to legally park while blocking my driveway. I understand that part of the sidewalk is not my house. I know my property line ends somewhere before the sidewalk or whatever it is. I understand all of that. But it's my biggest pet peeve of my life. I swear to you. And I'm openly admitting, fine. Good, you got me. I didn't know I wasn't allowed to park there blocking my own driveway, but now I do now, right? So instead of like, if I circle back, like you're threatening me, and he did, and he fulfilled his threat by writing me up. But it's the biggest pet peeve of my life. People with a little bit of power exercise every ounce of it. You know what I mean? So I don't know what to do next. I'm not in the business of trying to accumulate $80 parking tickets. And what a crock of shit that is, by the way. $80 for a parking ticket. $80. This province and this city is beyond my grasp of what goes on here. $80 for a fucking parking ticket. Anyways, now that I'm thinking about it, I'm starting to get redlining here, right? And so I'm 44 years old and I'm trying not to be an immature loser. I really am. I have to fight this sometimes. And I'm sure you guys can relate a little bit, right? Like, nobody wants an $80 parking ticket. Nobody wants to be treated that way. Nobody wants that pain in the ass. Like, especially when you start to think about how long do I have to work for $80 before tax and everything else, right? The longer you think about it that way, the more aggravating you get. But this little green onion dude, I see, he patrols my neighborhood, right? And he wrote me up on a holiday of all days too, right? And yeah, that's right. It was, I think it was Canadian Thanksgiving. He gave me the ticket on. And so I see him in my neighborhood all the time and I don't know what to do. I don't know. There's part of me, and I was thinking about this when I was driving back home today, because I think about it a lot, right? And I was thinking about, if I see him, let's say I see him tomorrow afternoon, should I say something to him? Should I make it a point in my life? And now that golf season is over, I have a lot of free time. Now that golf season is over, that I don't mind spending some of it on, if I see him. I'm not going to go out of my way, but if I see this guy, there's part of me that wants to remind him of what a piece of he is. That's too mature. I shouldn't do that, right? Like, he gave me an $80 ticket and I'm having a hard time letting it go. Like, what should I do? Should I just let it go and get over it? I'm going to fight the ticket. I'm going to contest it. I'm going to lose it probably, because ultimately I parked in front of my driveway and I shouldn't have. And I know that now. That's an $80 lesson. But what would you guys do? I know I'm being too immature. I'm being way too immature. But it's that pet peeve. Like, really, bro? Did you have to do it? And if you're watching me, telling me to move on, stop watching me, Jeff. Stop watching me. Guy gave me an $80 ticket, and I'm angry about it. Let's see. Sean, let it go. A lot of better things to do in life. You can't win. It's a fair point. It's a fair point, but it really does aggravate me. So I can't, you know what? I can win. I can contest it. But ultimately, I am going to go and take the higher road. I'm going to take the higher road here. I am going to be a mature. I think what I've done here has been therapeutic. I think I've let it out, and I'm just going to move on with my life, and that's it. What point? What does it serve anybody to make this guy's life more miserable maybe than it already is? And he sits in a car and writes tickets all day. You know what I mean? And I'm sure he must hear all kinds of shit from people all the time. So I'm sure it's not an easy job. It's not a fun job. So I'm just going to take the high road and just move on with my life. That's it. So it's very therapeutic. Thank you for letting me vent this out. I appreciate it greatly. Okay, my friends. So 31 minutes. Woof. Thank you very much. Indeed it is. Parking wars never end. But I'm just going to move on with my life. Now that I've let it out, let bygones be bygones. Thank you so much for all your sage advice, everybody. We'll be back later this week, no doubt, as the Montreal Canadiens continue their road trip in Winnipeg tomorrow night at 8 o'clock. They're back home on Saturday to take on the vaunted Vegas Golden Knights. In the car with Star, a proud presentation of K-Stop, Gaspar, Depanneur, Highway 138 in Ganawagi, littlebearonline.com, and of course, my friends at Ash Gregoire, Chamonix-Dixon, 4299 Autoroute 440.